I heard my fiance practicing his wedding vows, and none of them were about me. I wasn't supposed to be home that afternoon. I told my fiance, Daniel, that I'd be out shopping with my sister until evening, and he told me he needed a few quiet hours to work on something. I assumed it was wedding-related, seating charts, music, vows. We were 2 weeks away from the ceremony, and everything felt tense in that excited, overwhelming way weddings always feel. But my sister canceled on me last minute. Food poisoning. So I drove home, deciding I'd surprise Daniel with coffee and maybe catch him in the middle of something sweet. I'd imagined walking in to see him surrounded by sticky notes full of ideas, maybe even rehearsing some emotional vow about how he couldn't wait to spend forever with me. Instead, I pulled into the driveway and noticed his car was still there, but the house was quiet. Not silent, though. As I stepped up to the front door, I heard a low voice inside. Daniel's voice. Speaking slowly, almost dramatically. I stopped, holding my coffee tray in one hand, and leaned closer. At first, I thought he was practicing vows. And technically, he was, just not the ones I expected. I've loved you from the moment I met you, he said softly. My heart fluttered for a second, until he continued, you're everything I've ever wanted. I'm sorry we spent so long apart. I'm sorry I wasted years pretending I didn't care. My stomach dropped. That wasn't meant for me. I pushed the door open, silently, like I was afraid noise would make the truth worse. Daniel was standing in the living room, back turned, holding a piece of paper. I promised to make up for lost time, he said. To choose you every day, the way I should have then. Then? My first instinct was denial. Maybe he was reading from a movie script. Maybe it was a writing exercise. Maybe. Caroline, he whispered. I'm still in love with you. Caroline. The name made my entire body go numb. Caroline wasn't a co-work. Not a family member. Not a friend. She was his ex. The one he dated for 5 years. The one he said broke his heart. The one he told me he had no feelings for anymore. The one he said was a chapter long closed. I felt something inside me tear a little. I must have made a sound, because Daniel suddenly spun around. His face went white. Why are you here? He blurted out, like I was the intruder. My sister canceled, I whispered. I came home early. He dropped the paper so fast it floated to the floor. He didn't reach for it. Didn't move. Just stared at me with this frozen horror on his face. It's not what it sounds like, he said, hands shaking. Really? Because it sounds like you're confessing your undying love for your ex 2 weeks before our wedding. He opened and closed his mouth, searching for an excuse, but nothing came out. So I walked forward, picked up the paper, and read the rest silently. It wasn't vows. It wasn't a letter. It was a goodbye speech. I'm sorry I didn't fight for us sooner, but I hope this wedding doesn't stop you from telling me how you feel, it read. If there's even a part of you that still loves me, just say the word. He had been practicing. Rehearsing. Preparing. But not for me. Were you planning to read this to her? I asked quietly. Before or after we got married? He ran a hand through his hair, looking like a trapped animal. She reached out last month, he finally admitted. She wanted closure. It brought up old feelings. Old feelings, I repeated, each word like glass. I didn't do anything with her, he said quickly. I didn't cheat. I swear. You don't have to sleep with someone to betray them, I said. He stepped toward me, but I moved back. Something broke in his expression, but I didn't care. He had been thinking about another woman while we planned our wedding. He had been crafting the perfect speech, the perfect confession, for someone who wasn't me. Do you still love her? Silence. A long, heavy, suffocating silence. That was my answer. He didn't cry. I didn't either. I think we were both too stunned for tears. Instead, I walked past him, grabbed the folder with our wedding documents, our vendor list, the seating charts, all neatly stacked on the table, and handed it to him. You can keep these, I said. You'll need them if you decide to audition for Groom of the Year with her. Please don't do this, he whispered. You did this, I said, and walked upstairs. I packed a bag in 10 minutes. When I came back down, he was still standing in the same spot, holding the paper with his trembling hands. I walked out without another word. He didn't follow me. That night, I booked a hotel. The next morning, I called the venue and canceled the wedding. My parents were shocked, his parents were furious, and my sister offered to run him over with her car. But the worst part? 2 days later, I checked his social media, not because I wanted to, but because I needed to know. He had added Caroline back. Subscribe for more.